Uh, okay. we are we are continuing down the road, um, by request, by popular request, with the look at this case, um, and the displays therein. Good evening, sir. Good evening. But it is just me today. It is just me. This is not a podcast recording. This is for our Tuesday's posting, so it is just me. Um, yeah, it's I can see why this for yeah, the reason I am so kind of het up, I guess would be the best way of looking at it, is because for once in my review of videos and the like and all that kind of shtick, um, I've seen a fair bit of a fair bit of um, the examination, the interaction. And when I say fair bit, I've seen it's the same kind of couple of clips, but a number of times. Um, and it's all just becoming a bit kind of too much for me. In that it just brings a bit of bile towards the back of my throat each and every time. Mostly because I can't fathom how it's continuing. I mean, I realise there is, the legal proceedings to adhere to, and the jury doesn't deliberate on their details until the specific time, yada yada yada. Um, but unless there is some evidence that is so distinctly irrefutable, then I can't see this going any other way apart from a loss for her. I can't see it. Um, Not that I have any kind of clairvoyance about me, but it's just the way that all of the information and the non-verbal communication is directed towards. Now, there are those this week that have argued, both as part of the industry and um, online and such, in terms of the comment sections, in their support of Miss Heard, in that it's a smear campaign, and the fact that Johnny has so many fans behind him is coercing judgment and reason, just because it's got a great deal of number behind such an opinion on this case, that it's pushing towards believability. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes, blah blah blah. Um, for my two pennies on that situation, I'm going to use the good old fashioned English word of bollocks. What a load of bollocks. That is such a last ditch effort to try and save face. Because, as I've maintained since the very first video that I did on this trial, in terms of a logical breakdown, once you get rid of everything that can be hearsay or conjecture or some kind of interpretation based on bias or anything like that, what it boils down to is what can be proved and what can't be proved, in line with the reason for the case. It's a defamation case against the allegations made about him being a quote unquote wife beater. Um, and so far, there has been no evidence that's proved that he has. And there has been a considerable, a considerable number of pieces of evidence that proves that she was physical towards him. Right. So, irrespective of what's going on behind the scenes, that part, even for us as the ignorant public, that part for us remains to be particularly easy, in that she's been caught on audio, excuse me, caught on audio, talking about the attacks that she levied his way. and from the looks of some of the questions that Miss Heard has had to face from the pocket rocket, the absolute dynamo, Miss Camille Vasquez, it doesn't look like she's going to do too well in this. There are lies crawling out of the woodwork, left, right, and centre. I saw a little clip today of her psychiatrist, was it? I believe the old man that looked like that somebody put Doc Brown on a boil wash, and it's just been an absolute shambles for her the entire time, even down to the kind of coverage in the UK. There is you can really easily spot the bias and hyperbole as part of the publications and the like. When you get in such sentences as what was it? I think it was in the Telegraph or the Independent, one of the two, which was such highbrow elite A-listers speaking out for Miss Heard, like Kathy Griffin and Rachel Riley. Now, I know who Rachel Riley is because I live in the UK. She works on a popular television show called Countdown, right? If you don't live in the UK, or you're not a fan of Wordgate, televised boggle, essentially, you're not going to know who she is. And then Kathy Griffin, but the less said about Miss Griffin, the better. And then it goes on to say about Johnny Depp's supporters, which are Johnny Depp supporters that feature celebrities like Javier Bardem, Penelope Cruz, Winona Ryder, all of these actual A-listers. Now, that's not to say that there's any kind of credibility in terms of who is an A-lister and who isn't, because that isn't the case. But I just thought that was one unique insight towards where the bias within the publication exists overtly, as they gently try and sway judgment one way or the other, it seems. So, with that in mind, we are going to have a little look-see at the precise nature of what is going on with this shtick. Oh dear. Right, so this is one of them, and I will state the obvious in that there were a number of videos. Hi, Miss Riffraff. There were a number of videos. Oh my word! It's gone straight back there. Wow. Straight back to my desktop. I can't put your comment on the screen, but hi, all the same. I can't put your comment on the screen, it seems, without it snapping back. Anyway, my point. There were a number of videos from her cross-examination. So, for the people that voted for this, if it is that there is a particular one that you would like me to look at, because you've got the option for two. If it is that there is one that you would like me to look at after this, then let me know. Either send me links, post them in comments, all of that kind of thing. Because the only place I know where to have a look for them is the Law and Crime channel. And they must be going absolutely fucking nuts because of all of the copyright concerns, or whether they've just waived it because they knew everybody would be ripping it to shreds. And just FYI, whoever is tuning in from a Facebook group that's just commented hello, I can just see that it says Facebook user. There should be a little link at the top for you to register your details if you want me to see who it is. And if you don't, feel free to remain incognito. So yeah, with that in mind, let's continue down this fucking rabbit hole. Oh dear, here we go.
All right, are we ready for the jury?
She goes. See, I love that there's always an expectation at this stage for there to have been some kind of secret slight, or for something to be communicated at this stage. But the simple fact of the matter is, this is all part of routine. This is day 17. So they are all kind of well entrained to a behavioral level to make sure that they are responding in the respectful manner to the court and the judge and all of the other proceedings that they have to in that situation. As for clothing and hairstyles, I've maintained since minute one that there is no particular insight into that, because it's going to be more about the chance to demonstrate style over purpose, right? Demonstrate style over purpose.
All right, be seated. All right, next question.
Here we go there as well. So Miss Heard, let's try and be as respectful as possible. Miss Heard, already aware of the tension that she either feels for Vasquez, or is aware of the kind of questions that she is going to be asked. There was a little inhibited swallow. So you won't be able to see it as much with me because of the beard, but the buccinator's part rescinds back momentarily to allow for that function to drop down here. Again, you won't see it as prominently in women because of the obvious anatomical differences with regard to the Adam's apple. Lord knows, you know, that's probably the only place that this woman hasn't had filler in that way. Thanks to everybody that sent me the information regarding her genetic upkeep. Let's call it. But that's what we've got so far. There is tension from the get-go, right? Which is either going to cause a reflexive honesty. It's going to happen without thinking, in that she's going to give things away without being aware, or it's going to cause her mood to shift beyond control, which is either going to force more inhibited motions, more reason for her to control her own body movements, or it's going to leak a lot. Tension from the get-go. The slow build allows more of a control, but if you're sitting down feeling that, you're already in a place of, oh boy, we're already at drum roll kind of stage internally. So when you look at the thermodynamic properties of our own body language in that area, that already means that there are chemicals being flushed. Whether that be things like cortisol, adrenaline or not remains to be seen at this stage. We've just seen her lips move. But this is indicative of the control within the shoulders and the tension within the neck, the lack of action in the cheeks, the pressed lips at the bottom there, and all the way going up towards the nostrils, right? Because I don't know the name of the muscle. This area here, but it's pulling down on the side, which comes as a result of a high degree of lip pressure.
Good morning, Ms. Heard.
Good morning.
Straight in with the smile to the proverbial audience at this stage, the jury. The tactic presents itself a mere 1 minute and 24 seconds in to try and endear yourself to the people.
Your relationship with Mr. Depp began in October of 2011, right?
That's correct.
And you previously testified multiple times under oath that the first year of...
We already know where Vasquez is going with this. You've already testified under oath, so she's already ahead of herself in terms of her endgame. She believes that she's caught her in various comments, various, let's call it, duplicity, if we were trying to be kind of democratic about the whole endeavour. Diplomatic about the whole endeavour, excuse me. Democratic's the wrong word. But that's where Vasquez is with that slip at the moment. She knows what she's driving towards. Right, so if you listen to verbal content, just as well as processing the non-verbals as well, mind reading isn't that far of a leap. Not in terms of you think of tree, I guess tree, not that kind of thing, but in terms of figuring out precisely what somebody is thinking out, not the exact words, but what somebody is thinking. That's not too far of an extra bit of work to ascertain.
Your relationship with Mr. Depp was the best of times, right, Ms. Heard?
That is correct.
You testified that as far as you could tell, Mr. Depp was sober that first year.
That is correct. That's what I used to believe.
And that the first year was, quote, magic.
Yes, I always estimated it was about a year.
But now you've told this jury that Mr. Depp was
Hold it.
being violent with you throughout 2012, haven't you, Ms. Heard?
No, he took a break in the middle of 2012 when he was sober.
You told them
Smile.
that he was
Well,
hitting
you
you in
see it?
2012, though. Is that right?
He was hitting me in 2012. He just took a break in the middle.
Now, here's the thing with authenticity, right? Here's the thing with authenticity. If it is that it is coming from an organic prospect, there is no tactics behind your behavior because it's coming naturally. So it comes to how you would normally look to interact within a situation, right? And now, if it is that there is this kind of call and response to endear oneself towards a group of people on their side, there is a misconception based on the kind of disconnect that you have if you don't understand how to relate to them, right? If you don't have that kind of quality, it is. I always liken it to the way people kind of misinform others about influence within sales practice, and always make sure that you use somebody's name. But the people that don't know how to use it would be there going, so Ben, the thing with this car is, and Ben, I think you really enjoy this, Ben, this car, Ben, this, Ben, Ben. It has the adverse effect, and it can be quite kind of teeth clenching in that scenario. In the same way, for those who start things like NLP, for example. Now, if I'm about to misspeak about NLP, then I apologise. I've only seen one lecture in which this was spoken about. Besides that, I know it to be as part of a basic influence practice and bog standard sales technique. But the nature of mirroring and building physical rapport with a person as a way to subtly build in from the surface a kind of instinctive rapport. In that, when somebody does this, you do this, and when somebody does this, you do this, right? But there's a difference between copying and mirroring. There is that disconnect because you don't know how to use it. She's been informed that she needs to make friends, I suppose would be the best word, right? If she is of the opinion that one of the videos I saw through the week, she mentioned that there was a smear campaign against her. Now, if she is of that opinion, then in that situation, disenfranchising a group of people that are essentially deciding your fate, it's not going to be the best way to go about it. But you aren't going to be able to do that if you don't have the capacity to, which I don't think she has. Right? She can't relate to these people genuinely and authentically, because there's nothing genuine and authentic about the content. The whole thing is forced and pantomimed. Now, again, that might be because of the diagnosis around her kind of personality disorders with verifiable details. It could be. The evidence at this stage points otherwise, and certainly the information that I've seen over these videos point otherwise. But that is definitely something that could also lead to that kind of disconnect between people, which is why you're seeing. And the one likeness I have, it was an episode of Friends. Ross wants to practice his first lecture towards the other guys in the coffee shop, and he starts reading it from the cards. And Joey asks him if there are naked ladies on that card, and is to prove a point that he should look up. So Ross is going like this to try and get his speech across. This is that exact same thing that she's doing, because she doesn't know or have the understanding of how to make that leap, to let the information speak authentically for you, right? There is no need to be working an angle of trying to appeal to a group if it is that the information is solid, right? Think that through. Think about the last time you heard somebody begging to be believed, not quite on their knees begging to be believed, but as part of whatever story it is. The mere fact that they had gone that far indicates more about their fear of being caught than it does not. Same in this situation. The fact that everything turns to, I have a question from Miss Vasquez, here goes the answer. Question over here, answer. Question over here, answer. Question over here, answer. Right? If it is that the questions were that back and forth, you could argue that it would just best serve the comfort displays to simply answer them. Right? No, that's not what I said. He took a break when he was sober. Yeah, it was magic at the start. And instead of forcibly pulling your lips back and to try and be as melancholic about the things that you've sat through.
He was smashing things around you, right?
He did.
And you told them that Mr. Depp was in and out of sobriety in 2012.
That is correct.
You told this jury that, quote, in 2012, I was in the beginning stages of this, just learning these patterns. I was learning that drinking kind of correlated with the violence, end quote. Is that right?
That is correct.
So it was during these cycles of violence in 2012 that you gave Mr. Depp a knife as a gift.
I gave him a knife, I think for a birthday present early in our relationship. I believe it was around 2012, but I'm not certain.
We've seen a picture of that knife, but I think we should bring out the real thing. Master Deputy Halusa, Master Deputy Sheriff Halusa, may I please have you show the knife to Miss Heard?
Yes, that's it.
That's the knife you gave to the man who was hitting you, right, Miss Heard?
I wasn't worried he was going to stab me with it when I gave it to him, that's for certain.
But you gave it to him while he was abusing you, allegedly.
I gave it to him that year.
Master Deputy Sheriff Lusa, will you please show the knife to the jury?
Can anyone else see the Tony Stark lookalike in the back as well? In the white shirt, kind of peering around to have a look at the knife. Great beard. Not relevant to what we're doing, but I just noticed it. Oh, Miss Riffraff, a few eyes in the courthouse gallery have stated her constant staring at the jury was making them visibly uncomfortable. Rightly so, rightly so.
Thank you. This is the knife you gave to the man who would get drunk and violent with you, right?
This is the same knife that I gave him as a present in 2012, yes.
So, at this stage, right, we're only 4 minutes in, so take this with a pinch of salt, but it's a hypothesis that we can work with. She has been reformulating responses from questions, right? So, Miss Heard is actively aware that Miss Vasquez is trying to cajole her into telling a story that she wants her to tell. So Miss Heard is verbally sticking her heels into the ground, so to speak, and telling her own story, right? Which will cause problems in certain questions, but it will absolutely keep her as calm as she feels she must be to tell the story that she wants to on the other side of that coin. Because it's tantamount to doing this. La 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 la. It is the Bill Clinton. I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Just wait until you get to the donation versus pledge bit. Oh God! And no, I have read about that. I've not seen the video yet, thankfully, but in reading about it, it seems a bit nonsensical, to say the least. But there we are. Anyway, my point. Is that if it is that we are to see more and more signs of her coaching in sticking to a story, then this will continue, this will develop. She will not make an attempt to acknowledge the point of the question and then tell what's actually happened. She will just give her own answer, right? She will just give her own answer in the same way that you often hear politicians who are coached, say things like, what is it? Don't answer the question that they are asking, answer the question that you want to answer. Or words to that effect, which is going to bite her in the arse if the indications are that she has told as many porky pies as she has. Because if you're going to roll with it from a social engineering level, you need to be aware of everything that you're seeing and not be so inwardly focused in terms of your locus of control. They need to be external rather than internal in this particular situation. But we are 4 minutes in. Let's keep going.
Now, Ms. Heard, I'm going to need to talk to you about what happened in Australia in March of 2015. You've testified that at some
I don't remember the dates. I've not watched every single video, but we've got another observation that we can use. I've always maintained that blink rates are a visual link to pulse rates as a view to understanding what's going on internally. We got the eyebrow flutter there from Miss Heard. So either one of two things is about to happen. It's conversations about a big physical alleged thing that's happened, or it's something that causes her big physical distress and discomfort, which could be to do with duplicity, or having to recall details that you don't quite recall that you said earlier. So we'll get to see that as more as we move on, but that's something to watch as a marker for these inner cogs turning. The more we see this flutter followed by more information and indications regarding a heightened state of anxiety, then we can put a strength behind that observation.
At some point during the incident you described, you witnessed Mr. Depp bashing the phone against a wall, right?
That is correct.
You testified that the phone was breaking into pieces.
I was watching it disappear.
That Mr. Depp smashed it, I think your word was smithereens.
Yes, that is correct.
And according to your testimony, this was a wall-mounted phone in the bar area.
That is correct.
Let's take a look at Defendants Exhibit 1820. I believe this has...
Just as a little insight from a thermodynamic property, nervousness again, you can see the physical antennae pop up to go from the relaxed nature of the lower back. You can roll back to get comfortable on the chair, but it is this that is the difference. It is the release of distress and discomfort through movement. It is trying to maintain a stasis inside. She's engaged the lower back and then brought it back down. That's an antennae going up, so we've got another observation towards anxiety.
Has already been admitted into evidence, if we could have it published.
Matched with the water now. So, sorry, matched, not matched specifically as in that confirms it, but matched as in that's something else that we can use now as a timer, right, to monitor her breathing. In terms of how dry the throat is getting to the point of becoming consciously aware of it. Because of the anxiety, how much do you need to remoisten one's throat to assuage that?
Thank you. You saw this photo during your direct examination, right?
That is correct.
And you testified that the wall-mounted phone that you saw Mr. Depp smash is on the wall on the left.
That's correct. So if you were looking at this picture, the wall-mounted phone would have been behind you on the left-hand side of your shoulder.
But it's not depicted in this photo, correct?
Whoever took this photo is standing right in front of where that mounted phone was.
That's convenient. The pieces of the phone Mr. Depp smashed aren't in this picture either, right?
I think it's a great idea. House sitters get somewhere to stay, and we, the house owners, get someone.
You don't see it because it's whoever took this photo standing in front of that.
whoever took this photo, it's Mr. Ben King, correct?
That's what I believe.
Yeah. Mr. King testified under oath in this trial, right?
That is correct.
And he testified that there was no wall-mounted phone smashed to smithereens that he had to replace, correct?
I didn't hear him testify to that, no.
He did.
So many exclusions. So many exclusions. That's what I believe he testified, to the best of my knowledge. That's all I can recall. I believe he said that, but I wasn't quite sure. It'll be all this coming. It'll be all this coming. If we've had two in quick succession, then it will only get worse from there as a way to hide the information behind well, the nature of what an exclusion gives you. It's an attempt to absolve yourself of responsibility for the statements that you've made or the things that you've done. Yeah. This is this is not looking good.
The counsel elicited it.
I disagree with that representation.
You also saw this picture. Actually, can we please bring up Defendants Exhibit 1821, which is also admitted into evidence? You also saw this picture during your direct examination, correct?
That is correct.
And so this is the bar area to the right of the wall-mounted phone you just described.
If you were facing in that direction, if you're facing this direction, it would be behind you.
This phone on the counter isn't the phone that got smashed to smithereens, is it?
No, they brought that out during my testimony in the UK as well, and I said this in the UK trial as well, that is not the phone, obviously, because that one's not smashed and it's not wall-mounted.
Yeah, so there are two phones in the bar area.
There was a wall-mounted phone. I don't know if it was decorative or what, but it was like it looked antique, large and antique.
See? Confirmed already, talking about your own story. She didn't answer the question. So there was two phones in the bar area. So if it is truth, the response to that question is, yeah, he smashed one of them. There's one left. Simple maths. But you focus on the fact that, well, yes, there was a wall-mounted phone. It was antique, I think.
And what the large and antique one that's not depicted in any photograph, including ones you took, is the one that Mr. Depp damaged, correct?
That is correct. I only took pictures of the mirrors.
So there's no picture of that damaged phone?
I didn't take a picture of it, no.
Okay. So back to the phone smashing. You watched Mr. Depp smash the...
That's another exclusion as well. That's a sly one that will get through, that will get past anybody if you're not as observant or aware as you should be. In that, God, that sounded really douchey on my part. I didn't mean it that way. I meant that it was a sly one, a subtle one. In that, the simple answer to that question was, it wasn't in those pictures that you took. No. That's the simple answer. But to go on and add that additional detail to finish with a no is a way to intimate that the thing did happen, but I just didn't take a picture of it.
The phone, right?
That's correct. I watched it.
And you testified that you were, quote, watching the phone every single time he pulled his hand back, end quote.
That's correct.
And according to you, this is when Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger, right?
It is my best guess. I didn't notice his finger come off, obviously. I was watching him smash the phone and watching the pieces break while he was doing it.
Well, it's not your best guess, Ms. Heard.
That is my best guess, yes.
Okay, let's go back to my questions. You submitted a declaration under the penalty of perjury in this case. Do you remember that?
And again, more insight to what we got from Camille's smile and the things that she mentioned earlier. Under the penalty of perjury. Let me just remind you that I know you're full of shit.
That is correct.
Okay, let's look at that declaration.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
If we could direct your attention, Ms. Heard, to the page 14 of the declaration. Is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
And your signature appears right under the statement, quote, "I declare, under penalty of perjury, under the laws of the state of Virginia, that the foregoing is true and correct."
That is correct.
And this is dated April 10th, 2019.
Correct.
Now let's look at paragraph 16, which is on page 5. Specifically line 10. Quote, you write, testify under oath, "While he was smashing the phone, Johnny severely injured his finger, cutting off the top of it," end quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
So you testified in this courtroom that after Mr. Depp smashed the phone, he held you down on the countertop by the neck. Do you remember that?
I'm not quite sure of the exact sequence of things, but yes, both of those things happened.
Well, we'll get to the sequence. And this is when Mr. Depp supposedly assaulted you with a bottle, right?
On the countertop, he assaulted me.
So Mr. Depp was able to get you on the counter, right?
He held me down by my neck.
And hold you down by your neck.
That is correct.
The same person that you gave a knife to, that was very big. Interesting.
And he grabbed a bottle, according to you, while holding you down by the neck, correct?
I'm sorry, can you clarify what you're asking me?
While Mr. Depp is holding you by the neck against the countertop, he grabs a bottle.
I'm going to show you how you can save loads of money online using the Pouch browser extension.
That's your testimony.
No, those two things didn't happen at the exact same time, no.
So he's holding the bottle, is that your testimony? While holding you down by the neck?
Sorry, what was your question?
Listen to the change in voice. Change in voice, right? That is somebody lowering their responses under inhibited motion, right? That is the virtual settling down that lionesses do before they pounce, right? They drop their voice. This is anger rearing its head, which we can see now with more tension in the arms as they're coming closer together. The arms were directed towards the where her legs would be in that scenario anyway, but those creases become more prominent underneath the pressure in that area, and a voice is following suit. So we've got a link towards the exact same thing that we saw right from the very start in terms of that lip compression, in terms of either, it's not been confirmed explicitly, either her tension, her anxiety, her frustration towards Vasquez herself, just because she's the one asking the questions, or the nature of the questions themselves, right? But in either scenario, why is there such inhibition to that kind of anger, right? If it is that those kinds of things happen and you were being accused of being a liar, you would be justly angry, and that is that it comes back to that authenticity observation that we made earlier. There is no connection to anything that she's talking about in here, right? And for somebody that's gone through trauma, for somebody that's gone through trauma, regardless of how capable you become at dealing with it, there's still a connection there.
Your testimony is, Ms. Heard, that either he has the bottle before or after he's holding you by the neck on the counter. Is that your testimony?
He held me by the neck on the counter.
Where's the bottle that he assaulted
At what
with?
point?
While holding you.
You see, here's the exclusions. So frightened of entrapping herself with all of the comments around perjury that she's now being overly specific about the bottle.
You down by your neck.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle, it was in his hand.
Okay. Was it in his hand before or after he holds you down by your neck?
I was being held down while he assaulted me with the bottle.
When he puts you on the counter, does he have the bottle in his hand, yes or no?
As I have always said, I don't remember exactly what happened first, or I don't remember the sequence. I just remember being aware that I was being assaulted by a bottle while I was on the countertop.
So he penetrates you with this bottle. But you don't know how he got the bottle, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And he did that right after he lost the tip of his right middle finger.
Again, I don't remember the exact sequence of those events.
We'll get to the sequence. And while he was on 8 to 10 MDMA pills, right?
Yes.
Let's talk about the sequence. This is the sequence of events you tested.
Did you see that as well from Vasquez? The little side to side. Yeah, that's what boxers do when they've got you on the ropes. Right, so Camille's shaping up to make a big point now.
Testified to in this courtroom that he smashed the phone to smithereens and then assaulted you, lost the tip of his finger, and then assaulted you with a bottle. Yes, that's the sequence of events that you testified to in this courtroom.
To be clear, you're putting it in order when you say words like then. I have never claimed that I can remember the exact sequence of these things. This was a multi-day assault that took place over 3 horrible days.
Ms. Heard,
it's the worst thing ever happened to me. I don't remember
Ms.
the
Heard,
exact sequence.
that's not my question. My question isn't about the 3-day assault allegedly that occurred. I'm just talking about the sexual assault that you now allege occurred.
Yes,
okay?
correct.
Let's talk about the sequence. So you testified, actually. Do you have a copy? Yeah, I know. I just realized that. Do we have a copy? We gave it to you yesterday. Court transcript.
Subtle bit of contempt there from Miss Vasquez. I like it. We gave it to you yesterday. I like it.
Yes. Ms. Heard, do you have a copy of day 16 in front of you?
Day 16? Yes, of
Court
my deposition?
Yes. Mm-hmm. No, of the court transcript from this trial.
Oh.
Yes.
I didn't realize that. Yeah.
Okay. Let's look at the transcript. So you testified on page, I'm getting there, 4506.
Page, I'm getting there. I got this. It's in the bag.
All right. Okay. Now, the reason that we need to go through this, Ms. Heard, is because we understand that these are very serious allegations that you're making, right?
It was horrible. What happened to me, yes.
Okay. So let's go through them. Page 4506, line 2 through 3. I sit here now. Apologize. You testified on page 4506. This all started when Mr. Depp took 8 or 10 pills of MDMA, right?
If you're in debt with £5,000 or more, give me 30 seconds to explain how the UK approved legislation.
That is correct.
Okay. Then, directing your attention to page 4518. Line 19. You talk about Mr. Depp smashing a wall-mounted phone, correct?
That is correct.
Then on page 4519, at line 3, you testified that while Mr. Depp is smashing the phone, he is screaming, quote, "I fucking hate you," end quote, right?
Yes, he was screaming that, among other things.
And further down on page 4519, same page, lines 12 through 19, you talk about how you watched Mr. Depp smash the phone to smithereens. right?
That is correct.
Then, continuing on the same page, 4519, line 20, you say something really important. Quote, at some point, he's on top of me. No phone, but screaming the same thing, end quote, right?
I just remember the sound, yes.
But you remember, and you testified to this jury, that he didn't have the phone in his hand anymore.
When he was assaulting me with the bottle,
Right.
He had the bottle in his hand. When he was punching the wall with the phone, he had the phone in his hand. When he was punching the wall next to my head, he had me by the throat. He did a lot of things that night.
So you're acknowledging, by this sequence, not my words, your words, Ms. Heard, that you testified to this jury, that Mr. Depp smashed the phone to smithereens before he assaulted you. That's the sequencing in which you testified, correct?
I have never testified to a sequence.
Okay.
That's why you just did.
Talking about that sequence. Then on page 4521,
But look at the tension.
Starting at
Look
line
the
3.
exhale, it's all in the chest.
you testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right?
Okay.
Oh, they're approaching. This goes on for a few moments normally.
To page 45.
There we go.
Directing your attention, Ms. Heard, to page 4521, starting at line 3. You testified to being bent over backwards on the bar, right?
That is correct.
And then feeling pressure on your pubic bone like Mr. Depp was punching you. Yes?
That's what I thought.
And then further down on page...
There's the sadness about to come. Did you see that? The eyebrows, the nose, the cheeks, all there. That's an attempt to bring it forward if need be. The actress is coming.
4521.
Out of context, that sounds really bad as well. I meant her inner actress is coming.
And on to 4522. You testified that you were concerned Mr. Depp was using a broken bottle on you. Yes?
That was my fear.
Okay.
That's what I remember feeling.
Ms. Heard, I'm going to show you Defendants Exhibit 1816.
Good question just coming from the comments. Thanks, Iago. Amber seems unaware of the exaggerated emotional nature of her testimony. Is that due to the personality disorders, or maybe she just thinks this is the best way to go given her situation? You could argue either or in that situation, right? Now, we mentioned earlier about the potential disconnect in relating to others as a result of those personality disorders, but to go into mimicry of emotional states that you're not truly feeling is to be inauthentic, right? If it is that you have a legitimized diagnosis behind you and you're going through legal proceedings, that has to be taken into account in terms of how you comport yourself. So in either scenario, the exaggerated quality speaks to inauthenticity, which will either dissociate her further from the jury or give further credence towards the lack of information that she has behind her allegations that she's making. But that's just based on my experience.
Just already been admitted.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. You saw this picture during your direct examination, right?
I did.
And you testified that this is a picture of the bottles that were next to Mr. Depp on a desk when you found him drinking in the morning, right?
That's correct.
And this was the morning after Mr. Depp had allegedly sexually assaulted you, right?
It was the morning after he did assault me. Yes.
And if I understand...
But there we go. There's that. Again, right? I'm not speaking towards truisms or not. I'm speaking towards the training and the sticking your head in the sand nature of how she's interacting with the questions. She's speaking her own version of precisely what's happened and not listening to what's being spoken about, which is going to go both ways in terms of biting her in the arse or disenfranchising her completely.
Understood your testimony correctly, you testified that this is the Maker's Mark bottle that Mr. Depp sexually assaulted you with.
I was never sure it was, but it was definitely that shape. Felt like that shape.
But you testified in this courtroom that you had not seen this bottle until Ben King provided these photographs, correct?
Not in the course of the trial. I hadn't seen the photograph.
You claim you had serious injuries after this alleged incident, right, Ms. Heard?
Depends on what you would call serious. For me, having a sore jaw and some bruises at the time of my relationship wasn't that serious.
Okay, let's testify. Let's focus on the testimony that you gave about the injuries. Mr. Depp, as you testified yesterday, wears rings on every finger, right?
Sometimes. Often. And certainly in the later part of our relationship, that was more normal than not. But if he's filming or something like that, of course, he's not going to have his own jewelry on.
Your testimony in this trial was...
Another one from Vasquez. Energy perks up. Gotta go somewhere. Inhibited smile. Your testimony. Back to it.
Is, quote, I don't know if I've ever known Johnny not to wear rings. Correct?
You need to put your microphone on, Miss. Thank you.
Objection.
I think it's a great idea. House sitters get somewhere to stay, and we, the house owners, get someone to look.
Your Honor, improper impeachment. If she's going to ask her question, then she has to show where that was, and then
I'll overrule the objection. Go ahead.
Thank you. Your testimony yesterday was, quote, I don't know if I've ever known Johnny not to wear rings. Right, Ms. Heard?
That's what I testified to, yes.
Okay. And he was wearing rings on every finger in Australia, correct?
Not all the time, not literally every single ring every single day, but he often wears rings.
So Vasquez, in terms of that smile, is aware of the kind of exclusions. This is like an unspoken conversation that's going on underneath the surface, in that Vasquez is smiling about, I know what you're trying to do. And Amber Heard is very much a case of, oh shit, I know what you're trying to do. In those situations, so there is a battle between the questions based on what you've said previously versus your exclusions and trying to talk your way out of this, right? You are distancing yourself to try and provide inbuilt fallout shelters, so to speak. So here we go.
Not often, Ms. Heard. Your words are, I've never known Johnny not to wear rings on every finger.
That is what I testified to.
Okay. And you testified that you bled as a result of this sexual assault, correct?
That is correct.
All right. And you testified that your forearms were cut.
My forearms and my feet.
And your feet were sliced up.
That's correct.
And you testified you had a bruise across your jaw.
That is correct.
And there is not a single medical record reflecting treatment for any of those injuries, is there, Ms. Heard?
I didn't seek treatment.
And the day after you sustained all these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came to the house in Australia, right?
Well, he came the third day, along with security.
The day after you sustained these injuries, Dr. David Kipper came along with nurse Debbie Lloyd, correct?
Well, that fight went into the morning, like early hour morning, so technically.
We've got the anxiety coming forwards now a little bit further. We've got the asymmetric shoulders, the filler noises and words that are popping up, the intermittent tension in the arms, which is a link to it's either going to be hand washing or hand wringing of that nature. So it's a change of body temperature. That kind of a physicality is a lot of fear that's going on internally.
Technically, that last day.
Dr. David Kipper is Mr. Depp's, or was Mr. Depp's physician, right?
I believe he still is.
But
yes.
He was at the time.
Yes, that's correct.
And he was also your physician.
He also saw me.
No, not saw you. He was your physician.
Yes, Camille. No nonsense whatsoever indeed, Miss Riffraff, right? Instead of just answering, yeah. There is the distancing languages that's coming. Yes, he also saw me. Right? Because there is an attempt after every statement to try and save face, which one doesn't need to do if you're being authentic. Nice that Camille took her down on that one.
Correct, Ms. Heard?
Johnny was the client, but he also treated me.
All right. Let's please pull up. Do you remember giving testimony in this case in a deposition, Ms. Heard?
Yes, I do. I've given a couple.
If we could please pull up the deposition transcript, day 2. At 589, lines 6 through 8. May I approach?
Yes, ma'am.
You got a decent level of time between the drinking as well, but you will note that it was more this time, more. So that's interesting as well in terms of the requirement for moisture.
Thank you.
Your Honor, we're going to play Ms. Heard's deposition for the jury, lines day 2, page 540, lines 6 through 9. If we have permission to publish it.
You got to give me.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, day 2, page 589, lines 6 through 8.
All right, if you could just give us a minute to get
Of
there.
course.
589.
I'm sorry, what were the lines again?
Page 589, lines 6 through 8.
Wait. Did you say 540 or 589?
589,
God, woman.
lines 6 through 8.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I have no objection, Your Honor.
And he was your doctor at this point, right?
Yes, he was.
Debbie Lloyd also came to the house that day.
Yes, she came with Kipper.
Yeah. Miss Lloyd is a nurse, correct?
That is correct.
Malcolm Connolly also came to the house that day.
Yes, that's correct.
Mr. Connolly is one of the security guards, correct?
That is correct.
You had known Mr. Connolly for years at that point.
Yes, that's correct.
You flew back to Los Angeles the next day with Ben King. Is that right?
I can't be certain if it was the next day or the day after, but somewhere around there, yes.
And the day you arrived back in Los Angeles, you saw Travis McGivern, correct?
I don't recall seeing Travis, no.
You don't recall Mr. McGivern picking you up from the airport with Ben King?
I don't remember that, no.
And the same day, you also saw your own nurse, Erin.
You don't need me to to pull this one apart. You don't need it. Vasquez is nailing it herself. You don't remember that? When that other guy came to pick you up with the other one that said he was with you? Brilliant. Just brilliant.
Erin Fillotti that day, correct? The day you arrived in Los Angeles?
I don't recall if I saw her that day.
You saw Miss Fillotti's testimony in this case by video deposition, correct?
I'm going to show you how you can save loads of money online using the Pouch browser extension.
Correct?
That is correct.
And you heard her testify that she saw you the day you arrived back from Australia on March 9th, 2015.
I believe she testified that she came to dinner where I was with friends. Yeah, I believe that.
So she saw you that day.
Again, right? Camille's shoulders reflecting everything that we've said up until this stage. Just answer the question. So she saw you, right? So the answer is yes. Stop trying to distance yourself, right? Because you're doing yourself no favors in terms of conveying authenticity at this stage. Jeez, woman.
I believe that evening I saw her at dinner.
Okay. And then you saw Erin Fillotti again the next day for a private meeting, didn't you?
I'm not sure if that's what she testified to. I'd have to just see the records to know.
You heard her testify, according to her notes. She met with you privately on March 10th, 2015.
She met with me at some point upon my arrival, but I don't remember the exact date.
And when you were in Australia, Ms. Heard, you didn't take any pictures of the injuries you claimed to have sustained, right?
I did not take any pictures, no.
But you did take 2 pictures.
Of the mirrors. I took 2 pictures of the bathroom mirrors. That was the master bathroom where I was.
Let's please pull up Defendants Exhibit 374, which is already in evidence. You took this picture, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that's correct.
So if we're monitoring this right in terms of breathing patterns in relation to drying out of the throat, increased breathing. This is a shorter time period, so this will be a smaller sip than the one we saw previously, pursed lips. If it is that's following correct. If it isn't, then we need to reevaluate that particular observation moving forwards.
And this is a mirror in the bathroom in Australia?
That's correct.
And this black paint on the mirror is from Mr. Depp?
That is correct.
He wrote on the mirror in black paint after his finger was cut off, right?
Yes, I only know that because there was blood as well as paint.
So you took this...
So what we have there is a link to previous comments that she's made, and this is how that anxiety is coming out, right? Because she'd mentioned previously that he'd written it in blood, but we've got photos of paint. So I've got to get in the blood somewhere. Anxiety, we've got another marker there. She's not having a good time.
Picture after Mr. Depp had injured his fingers, correct?
This was while I was packing, when I was leaving.
That's a
when I
yes,
took
right,
the photo.
Ms. Heard?
That's... What's the question? I'm sorry.
You took this picture after Mr. Depp had injured his finger.
That's correct.
And you took this picture after you had allegedly been assaulted by Mr. Depp, yes?
That's correct.
Yet you didn't capture yourself in the mirror, did you?
I don't see myself in the mirror, no.
Let's please pull up Defendants Exhibit 375. You took this picture as well, right, Ms. Heard?
That's correct.
And this is from one of the bathroom mirrors in Australia?
That's correct.
This is also a picture taken after Mr. Depp had injured his finger.
That's correct.
And this is also a picture taken after you had allegedly been assaulted by Mr. Depp.
That's correct.
You didn't capture
I'm going to be hearing the words "that's correct" in my sleep now.
yourself in the mirror in this picture either, did you?
I do not see myself in the mirror in that picture.
That was Bill Clinton level distancing language. I did not have sexual relations. I do not see myself in that mirror, Miss Lewinsky. Oh, hers. What are you doing, love? Pack it in. Just pack it in.
Is that because you didn't have any visible injuries on you?
It's because I was taking a picture of the writing.
Let's talk about the writing on this mirror. So the writing in black paint is from Mr. Depp, correct?
It's all from Mr. Depp.
And it's your testimony under oath that you did not write the red text that says, quote, "Call Carly Simon, she said it better, babe." And
So what we can do is look comparatively at the letters. Now, graphology, for my 2 pennies, doesn't have a lot of basis. But if you're looking at similar styles of handwriting in order to understand the same hand, you're looking at in the same way that one artist would paint different pictures, but you could understand what kind of artist does it through the similar style, through the use of brushstrokes, through the distance between letters and the like. And the words above, loves, looks like it says naked afterwards. They're entirely different to "Call Carly Simon, she said it better, babe." But that's also what a comma. "Call Carly Simon, she said it better, babe." Correct me if I'm wrong. And is that a little smiley face? Or a cyclops smiley face? I can only see one eye.
That's correct.
because if you did write that, it means that your husband was walking around the house bleeding from his amputated finger, and you're...
There we go, from the comments as well. Miss Riffraff, the writing in red matches some of her handwriting from the Love Journal showed in court. The black matches JD's. There you go. Perfect. Basic graphology gets you the same answer as well.
writing snarky messages to him on a mirror, right?
I don't know what your question to me is. I'm sorry.
Let's please take a look at Defendants Exhibit 1830.
That was brilliant. Camille, smile. That may as
I
well
believe
have been that may as well have been the emblem for got you. Got you.
This picture is also admitted into evidence.
That's correct.
This is a picture of the same mirror, right?
That's correct.
But you didn't take this picture.
No, I did not.
This is the one that Ben King took.
And I don't see him in the mirror either.
But look at that as well from the pause. Look at that as well from the pause. That couldn't be any more contempt, inhibited anger at all. I mean, I've paused it in the wrong spot to understand if that's an eye block or not, because it's paused there. It's going to look that way, but there's no way for me to tell at this stage. The pacing will be off. Oh dear. But more markers for inauthenticity, for duplicity, for distance in language, for anxiety, for anger. Oh dear.
I don't believe he claimed he had injuries, though. Is that right?
I did not hear Ben King talk about his injuries, no.
Okay. So you would agree, Ms. Heard, that the black text on the mirror says, quote, "She loves naked photos of herself. So modern, so hot."
I had not read that yet. I mean, before, but yeah, that's what it says.
But you were taking pictures of the text, but you had not read that before?
I haven't seen this. It didn't make sense to me at the time when I read it in person.
Okay. Again, Mr. Depp wrote that.
I don't know who else would have.
So, Ms. Heard, just to be clear, it's your testimony that Mr. Depp also wrote the message in red about Carly Simon saying it better, right?
That's correct.
You know Carly Simon sang the song "You're So Vain," right?
I was told that.
So, you want to prepare meals?
I'm glad that was explained, because the only Carly Simon song I knew was Nobody Does It Better.
So it's your testimony that Mr. Depp was writing messages to himself in the mirror back and forth.
The best I can describe it is it looked like a crazy conversation. It was on the walls, it was
With
on
himself.
lampshades, it was on cushions.
It's your testimony the crazy conversation was with himself.
But that looks like, as well, that the red has been attempted to be covered up with black smudges that would come from handprints, right? Which, if you are having a crazy conversation, there is no need to do, because that's part of the conversation. And you note that in terms of the writing, it's all towards one side. Separate conversation over this side, separate angle, separate position. Now, I don't know their exact heights, but there is an observation that we can use in terms of this for where people hang paintings, for how people put up wallpaper, for how people make marks on walls for building structures and the like, as it's going to directly reference your kind of height in that area, which, if you could get close, I mean, it looks like lipstick, but that's a total guess. If you could get close enough, and it is a guess because I'm basing it on nothing other than the fact that it's red and thick, but if you could get close enough, you could see the kind of pressure towards the application of it, like you can do with thick paint in terms of the angle of how it's applied, which would speak to somebody taller doing it, if Johnny is in fact himself taller, or that's written by somebody that's shorter, because you can tell the stuff that's higher, it thins out towards the top, like somebody reaching. At the top of the S, the top line above the S, and the top line on the crest of the S after the apostrophe and she's. So there's two distinctly different heights, one of which looks like the black paint's come back and attempted to cover up the red. Two people. That's her writing.
That's what it looked like from the bloody messages I found.
And you would agree with me that in this photograph, the red text has been smudged with black paint, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's please pull up, if we can, Defendants Exhibit 375 again.
Little sip. Did you see it?
Black smudge isn't in this picture that you took, right?
That's correct.
So Mr. Depp must have not liked his own message to himself.
I'm not quite sure what was happening when Ben took his photograph, no.
Okay. Let's please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 343, which is already in evidence, and play the portion from 1:57:21 through 1:58:54. It's a recording, Your Honor.
It's not to get you mad. It's just to get out of a bad situation while it's happening before it gets worse. In Australia, when we had the big fight where I lost the tip of my finger, at least 5 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms I went to.
Now again, right? I've got no other background in terms of previous recordings that I haven't looked at as part of this video series, but what was mentioned as part of Christie's Go in the Stand and the like is there is the reflection towards what they did as kids, making how they choose to formulating how they choose to make decisions based upon this kind of abuse or any kind of a similar vein as adults. The best scenario is to leave, is to get away from it, is to go and hide, as he did when he was a kid, which was verified from his sister who was there, which is accurately reflected here in terms of his own speech. Now, as part of that speech, there's no verbal indications towards any controlled breathing, any idiolect changes towards how he normally speaks, any modification, any excessive pulse rates that's causing a change in breathing tonality. None of it.
To avoid talking to me, to avoid working it out. That's
to escape the fight.
You don't escape the fight. You escape the solution.
No.
You escape the solution.
No.
You escape.
That should be the mantra for the narcissist's membership club. You don't escape the fight, you escape the solution. If that isn't psychological abuse 101 to try and manipulate somebody, I'm not sure what is. That's terrible.
Figuring it out. We cannot work it out if you run away to the bathroom every time.
Listen to me. Listen to me. A boxer can't go 12 rounds without a fucking minute break.
I'm not giving you a minute break. You do it at minute 3 at the beginning of an argument.
No. There are rounds, man. And when it gets too fucking hairy, the ref splits them apart or whatever. But all I'm saying is, you can't have a solution if the argument just keeps mounting and mounting and mounting and mounting. I fucking go into the bathroom and sit on the floor.
Which, again, right, take all of your affinity for either side out of it and look at it in terms of two people having an argument. There cannot be a solution if you're just pecking the whole time. Nobody backs down, everything blows up. That's just human beings. There is give and take, there is cause and effect in this scenario. And since one person isn't backing down, listen to which one of the two voices is up here already and which one isn't. Then there needs to be a separation. It's a well thought through analogy.
Floor. Bam, bam, bam. Here you come. I come out. Fight, crazy, escalated. I go split again, I go to another fucking bathroom or a bedroom or something. Knock, 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 bang, bang, bang. You kept coming to get me.
This is what really happened in Australia, isn't it, Miss Heard?
I did knock on a bathroom door on the first night.
Not a bathroom door. 5.
Did you hear that as well then over the top? Somebody, whoever's near to the microphones in there, giggled. Let me see if I can put that back just a smidge. Listen to after Amber Heard's statement. There's like a...
Go to another fucking bathroom or a bedroom or something. Knock, 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 bang, bang, bang. You kept coming to get me.
This is what really happened in Australia, isn't it, Miss Heard?
I did knock on a bathroom door on the first night.
Not a bathroom door. 5 bathroom doors and 2 bedrooms. Isn't
Johnny
that right?
is not an accurate historian of what happened during that period of time. I'll guarantee
Miss Heard, that's not my question. 5 bathroom doors, 2 bedrooms. That's what you knocked on.
I
That's
was
what
there.
actually happened in Australia, isn't it, Ms. Heard?
Look at the fear. Look at the fear. She's on the ropes. That's why Camille's coming back at her. Bam, bam. That's what happened. That's what happened. That's what happened, isn't it? Right? Camille knows this. She's, I don't know what the right word is. She sensed an opening for her to dominate on, right? Because we're seeing more of this tension, more of the taking up less and less space, like we do in those fearful who are about to commit larceny.
I was there.
That's
I remember it. I knocked on one bathroom door. I came on the first night after he decided to take the bag of MDMA.
Ms.
And I
Heard,
went to check
Ms.
on
Heard,
him and see
I'm going to
if we
move to
could-
strike everything after I knocked on one bathroom
She
door.
can't do that. She's answering the question.
Not quite, so I will sustain the objection. Just answer the question, okay, ma'am?
The recording we just listened to, that's exactly what happened in Australia. Mr. Depp lost the tip of his finger after you threw a bottle at him. Isn't that right?
That is incorrect.
You're the one who assaulted someone with a bottle in Australia. Isn't that right, Ms. Heard?
I didn't assault Johnny in Australia. I didn't assault Johnny ever. I couldn't.
And then after...
What? You've been on audio saying you did. This is the precise thing that I mentioned earlier. When you have your head stuck in the sand, you know, you're not that focused externally on what's happening. It's going to bite you in the arse. Never noticed a giggle before, but someone is close to a mic, as every now and then there's some sustained heavy breathing. No idea whether it's a lawyer or even the camera guy yet. Yeah, fair enough. Like I've no idea who it is, but someone giggled. Someone giggled when she said that.
After he was injured, he had to hide from you, right?
That is
In
incorrect.
5 bathrooms, 2 bedrooms.
That is incorrect.
And you would pursue him
That is incorrect.
because he was avoiding talking to you, right?
He did that first night when
he was
I tried to
avoiding-
talk to him about the drugs.
And he was avoiding working it out.
No, he was avoiding agreeing.
I think it's a great idea. House sitters get somewhere to stay, and we, the house owners, get someone to
not fight about the drugs.
You weren't scared of him at all, were you?
I have a mixed relationship with Johnny, and one in which I'm scared, one in which I love him very much.
I'm not talking about your mixed relationship. That night in Australia, after you cut off his finger with a bottle, you weren't scared of him at all, were you?
This is a man who tried to kill me. Of course it's scary. He's also my husband.
Straight at the audience, right? Disconnect here with the attempts for sadness to be coming forwards, engaging in hyperbole in that area, right? That's a very severe allegation, right? She stepped it up because her story's been detracted from. It's proving that her story doesn't hold water. So how do liars do it? They kick it into overdrive when there's the ego, there's the narcissism, because they don't have the capacity to think these things through, right? Emotional qualities are antagonistic to clear reasoning after all. There it is. Answering her own question yet again. Like in the previous statements, there was this, we're arguing about the drugs. Don't forget he's a drug addict. Ah. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I'm nodding like everyone can read that. Miss Riffrath states, I noticed too that AH occasionally refers to a relationship and feelings for JD in the present tense. Valid in terms of parapraxis, slip of the tongues, Freudian slips, and the like, in terms of how you're internally processing information. But did you see that through gritted teeth as well? This is a man who tried to kill me. Sadness here taking away from it.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendants Exhibit 371. Do not believe these have been admitted into evidence.
No, I don't. I don't have.
If we can scroll.
Something that I did note during my my work through the week is that lip pullers, of which she is one, when it's turns to dead skin and the like, you can often pull cuts. Right? Now, I'm not saying that that's what happened, right? Because it's a thin observation by itself. There's not a great deal of information to back that up, but that is another cause towards those kinds of cuts that she's been visibly seen as having on her lip. If they're real, this is another cause for that. That can happen in the same way that if you pick a coleslaw, I nearly said that like the food, cold sore on your face, if you pick that, it can bleed and scar, because you're aggravating those areas that are quite sensitive. Same thing is said here. If you're pulling at the dry and dead skin on there, you can pull discoloration, you can pull cuts and the like, which will need to take their time to heal, which will crack because there is the tense, taut, dry skin around the open cut that will bow and break as you're talking, and it will re-crack, and it will last for a while.
Down, please.
Is this one already there?
No.
Ms. Bretterhoff, if you don't have your microphone on, I cannot hear you. You still don't have it on.
Out, woman.
Redacted. Oh. I need to take a look at the unredacted for a minute, Your Honor. Just bear with me.
All right.
I'm not admitting it into evidence yet. I would like to just talk to the witness about it, if I could. Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Hurd, I'm going to show you what's been marked as Defendants Exhibit 371. Do you recognize these text messages between you and Dr. Cowan?
I don't recognize these, no.
Who's Dr. Cowan?
He was my therapist that was recommended to me from Dr. Kipper. He and Dr. Kipper worked together.
He was your therapist at the time, correct?
That's correct.
And you had been seen.
That's how you answer a question. This guy was your doctor? Well, yes, he saw me too. No, that's correct works. So she has the capacity. So there we go. We get the formulation back and forth, the light and dark, the black and white, the intonation to where she is modifying what she's saying and when she's not.
Seen him for almost a year in March of 2015.
My guess would be about 6 months at that point.
Your text messages are in gray, correct?
Your Honor, I'm going to ask that she show her the unredacted so that she can see the text exchange back and forth if she wants to talk about moving in redacted later.
That's good.
Thank you.
Pull it up.
Number 3 on the sips, a little more open-mouthed.
Seeing these unredacted messages, does this refresh your recollection that these are indeed communications between you and Dr. Cowan?
Just as something in terms of information gathering that you can get in terms of observation, you see the bluish hue that you can see through Ben's glasses as well. That means he has to use them specifically when he sits at computers for too long, right? So his eyesight would require two sets of frames. One for everyday use and one for computer, which is a presbyopia. There are two separate concerns in this area that would affect his reading and his ability to access kind of information in that way. I got a phone call. It's odds law it would happen, but there we are. Anyway, on we go.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Doctor, your text messages are in gray, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And Dr. Cowan's are in blue?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you see the text message at the bottom of the page from March 8th, 2015 at 8:29 p.m.?
Yes, that's correct.
March 8th is the day that you were allegedly sexually assaulted by Mr. Depp in Australia, correct?
That is correct.
So on March 8th, 2015, you were in Australia.
That is correct.
And Mr. Depp's finger had just been cut off, right?
That is correct.
And you write to Dr. Cowan, quote, "I feel so lost. I can't talk. I don't know if I'll ever be able to change," end quote. Did I read that correctly?
That's correct.
You weren't able to change, were you, Ms. Heard?
I very much wanted to leave the relationship I was in, but I didn't have the power. I didn't feel I had the power to leave. I knew I was in a very toxic relationship with Johnny, and I knew I needed to change that. I knew it was...
This message is for all parents in the UK. Can you afford £14 a month?
At this point, horrible for me. And I talk to my therapist often about that.
Defendants Exhibit 371 as redacted with just Ms. Heard's messages.
All right.
Your Honor, I object because she has left out the next two lines from Ms. Heard that clarify even further, and I also think
Ms.
that
Bredehoff,
Dr. Cowan's...
Your Honor, may we please approach? This is...
So that is a great option for us to pause it right there, so we can come back and pick this up a little later on in terms of the non-verbal details shown within this case, within this carnival, it seems very much at this moment, but yes, so there we go. I'm very conscious at this stage to make sure that the information that we discuss in these videos be as watchable as possible. So if it were to go on and 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 on, even the most focused person would eventually start bleeding from the ears, and have to go and have a lie down in a dark room and eat several Kit Kat Chunkies, because that can't just be me. Can't just be me. But there we go, guys. If it is that you got anything out of the information conveyed here, or agreements, disagreements as well, that's all very welcomed, valid, and nurtured and required. Drop them all in the comments, and if it is that there is another one of her days that you want me to look at just before I eventually call time on looking at this trial, because it's taken up far too long, then drop those in the comments as well. But with that in mind, folks, I'm traveling to France tomorrow. So in terms of the podcast stream that goes out usually on Thursdays, it may be a little later than normal because I don't know where I'm going to be in the world on Thursday night. So as soon as I get settled, we'll sort that with Adam, and we'll be the first to let you guys know. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please feel free to do so already. We've settled on something that we're going to do for the 10,000 subscriber special, which should be particularly fun and particularly challenging to mindset development and creation in that way. Hopefully, it should be quite an ordeal, which I say with the most hopefulness that I can. But with that in mind, guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. Take care, and I'll see you all soon.